Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Micro Podcast on Podcasting. I'm Christine Blosdale, your multimedia marketing coach, and today it's all about cover art, baby. Yes, it's all about that beautiful cover art for your podcast to get people interested in listening to you in the first place. Now, one of the very first things I do when I have a brand new podcast client, I will start designing their podcast cover art from day one. Why? Because once you get that thing nailed down and you like the look of it and the feel of it, and you finalize what the name of your show is going to be, how it looks on that cover art, it just gets everything going, gets all your juices flowing when it comes to creating podcasts. So that's one of the very first things that I do. And here's a little tip for you. Remember that people are not going to know what you sound like. They're not going to really know who you are or what you're really all about or what the show is all about. But they are going to see that cover art before anything, before they hear you, before they see how fantastic you are or what kind of expertise you have. They're going to look at that cover art. So that's why you want to spend some time and effort and creativity on creating that podcast cover art. And where's the very first place that we go when we want to create amazing cover art? Canva. Canva is incredible. Now, there's the free version of Canva, and that's great. And you can use that to create your cover art. Or if you want to, you can upgrade to the pro version. I highly recommend it because there's so many more bells and whistles, amazing stock video footage, graphics, photos, typography, all this amazing creativity at your fingertips with the pro version. And I highly recommend it. And if you're interested in upgrading, click the link in the show notes and upgrade to Canva Pro. Once you're in Canva, there's a couple different ways that you can create your cover art. Of course, you can create a design with custom sizing. It might be 3000 by 3000 or 1500 by 1500. As long as it's a perfect square and it's at least 1500, you're pretty good to go. You can create that in Canva super simply by creating that new design. Or better yet, when you want to go and create something new, type in podcast cover art and see all the amazing templates that come up. You can take one of those templates and add your photo or add the name of your show into it. It's a great, great resource, and Canva is amazing, and especially the pro version because you have so many more choices. Once again, for a free 30-day trial of Canva Pro, click the link in the show notes. When creating your cover art in Canva, I want you to think of just a couple things. Do you want to brand yourself? Are you a coach or a consultant? Then you might want to add a photo of you in the cover art. If you're a coach or consultant, you want them to feel like they can trust you. So having an image of you, a good one, not a selfie, a nice headshot, something that really makes you shine, put that onto your cover art. That's great. It personalizes quite a bit. Or if it's not so much about you, but it's about a particular subject or topic, you might want to just focus on bold-faced fonts and images or graphics, those type of things. One important thing though, if you want your podcast on Apple Podcasts, make sure that the file size that you create at the very end when you save it is small. In other words, if you save it as a high resolution and a large file, Apple Podcasts may not take that image and you're not going to get your show on Apple Podcasts. Make sure that the file size is relatively small, and you can do that by adjusting the quality level on the slider that's right there when you finalize and save your image. Now, what if you get tired of your old boring podcast cover? That's okay. You can change your podcast cover art at any time, and don't be afraid of change. I started my podcast over 6 years ago, and I have changed my podcast cover art so many times, I can't even tell you. It's because I like to change things up a bit and become more fresh. This was actually my original podcast cover. Then I went to this. Then I did this. Then I did this. And then I did this. And then I did this one. But now I have my most recent podcast cover art, which is this one. And I really love it for now. I may change it in a little bit. But the thing is, it's your show. So if you feel that you really have outdone your podcast cover and you're bored with it, it's okay to change it. Don't feel restricted and locked into that particular cover art. Remember, it is the very first thing people are going to see when they're looking for that particular podcast that's going to make them super happy in life. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Don't just rush this. And if you really want to work some magic, remember to upgrade to the pro version of Canva. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you need more help on your podcast journey, if you're stuck and you need help or you need guidance on creating your podcast, well, I'm your girl. I have a link in the show notes too for a absolutely free strategy session where we'll go over everything about your podcast. So in less than 30 days, you can have your podcast up and running. I'd be happy to be a part of your journey. And the link is in the show notes so that you can book a free session with me on Zoom at no cost to you. And thanks again for tuning in to the Micro Podcast on Podcasting.